So uncivilized.
Greetings and welcome to the 1/6 Scale Man proudly presents Uncivilized Scoundrels. I am your host tonight. My co-host is dealing with a couple of things. He'll be here later on, but hey, I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm so glad to have all you guys here tonight. And I have two amazing individuals that I am so glad to be sharing tonight's show with. Come on, man. It's a ladies' affair. You know what time it is. We got CC3PO in the building, and we got how are you guys doing tonight?
Great. Glad to be here.
That's
Doing
good.
very
That's
well.
good.
And
That's
to
good.
talk about such a interesting episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting to say the least, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it was really interesting. It was something that I you know what, I feel like it's like always you can always expect that there's going to be a that one which you want to call filler episode, and I think that's what this one was. It was that one filler episode that we actually got. Everybody else, they felt that the first episode was the filler episode but this one, it felt to me like it was that filler episode. So I don't know. I don't know how I initially feel about it. I don't know. It took me on. It took me from a high to a low to a, it is what it is. But I don't know. I'm not sure how everybody else felt about it. But I just thought that it could have been something. But we'll dive in on that in a minute. How was your day?
My day was very, very busy, and the temperature outside got a little bit warmer, so I was happy about that. It's not these single-digit degree weather anymore, and I'm always
okay.
happy to hear when the temperature gets warmer, but I was very busy today, so I'm just happy to be here talking about Star Wars.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what we're all here to talk about tonight. And yes, we're gonna have this amazing discussion. Cece, I'm so glad that you're doing better. I know last week you were a bit under the weather, but this week you're better. You're feeling good, right?
Yeah, I'm almost 100%. It was just like a really quick case of the flu. Thank God. But
Okay.
I'm glad to be back to normal.
Okay.
For sure.
Good. And everybody, thank you out there for understanding last week. Did have a situation with my mother. She's feeling better. She did, come in contact with someone who had COVID. But she's good. Her oxygen levels are fine. She's back home. So she's no longer in the hospital. So thank God for that. She's feeling really good. She called me up to let me know she was home and she wanted her smoothie. So I was like, all right, we'll make sure you get that smoothie. So that's when mom is A-okay. They actually put her through some therapy because they wanted her to walk around and kind of get herself reacclimated and adjusted and stuff like that. So she was good, but thank God she's back home and everything is fine. So everybody out in the chat, thank you for actually coming through, and with all your prayers and your blessings, everything worked out. So speaking of which, I'm going to address the chat real quick, and then we're just going to dive in on the show. We have Pedro Lopez here, Max Geekdom, The Ben Cave. We have Andrew Gibo. We have Bob Dylan, as always, Malachi McBain, Tobar, Takathri, Mary Sullivan, Ray C. Primetime Reviews by, let's see here, we have Genta's in the building. Tom J. Junior Jackson is here. Thank you for coming through. And Takathri, man. Yes, and S Beam is in the building as well. So thank you for coming through, man. And Pablo Meza, thank you for coming through. Yes, so yeah, interesting, man. Like this episode, it was like you would put an episode like this in a season if there were like maybe 10 to 12 episodes. I think if it was 10 to 12 episodes that you would put something like this in, and I'm not saying that this was necessarily a bad episode. I'm not going to say it was completely bad, but there were certain things in it that I felt as though we could have done without. You think? I don't know. Like, we started out on a high. Now let me ask you this question. Now, mind you, everybody out there, if you haven't seen the episode, then this is not where you want to be. But if you have, this is where you want to be, because we're going to deep dive in. Do you think with this episode and how it actually began, and the simple fact that we got this modified, augmented biker gang now that, you know, pretty much is rolling with Boba. And you know what I forgot about, because I watched it twice, like 3 times, whatever. But I kind of had to really figure out where it, because the film, it was just so familiar. And it dawned on me. I was like, yo, I get it. I know where I remember this from. And I keep forgetting that Robert Rodriguez also directed Alita, Battle Angel. Mm-hmm. So when I think about the gang, the augmented robotic, cyborg like figures and individuals, I was like, Alita, Battle Angel. That right automatically, it just dawned on me. I was like, that's where it just, whatever. And then once we meet them, then it goes back into the Bacta tank, and we see him going back into that dream state, remembering everything else. Now, with everything that we've seen, and looks like the slaughter of the Tusken Raiders, do you think that this is pretty much the end of the dream sort of state, or do you think we're going to see more of that? I'll take it to you first. What do you think about that?
I think we're definitely going to have more back to dreams. Boba
Okay.
has a lot on his mind, and I somehow don't think that the Tusken Raiders saga is over. I think that after he discovers that what's happened, perhaps there were some survivors, and you never know. Perhaps he'll come across them on his travels through the desert, but he's not quite in top form to go and settle somewhere else right now. So I have a feeling that he's going to maybe roam the desert for a while, or at least try and find those really bad, I guess maybe they are, what are they? Nictos guys, and maybe try and hunt those guys down first. And maybe when he finds them, he'll discover perhaps there are some survivors from the group. But I don't think that this is the end of it. I think there's a little bit more to that story. And hopefully there is a payoff. I mean, in addition to, becoming a better person and growing and having all these wonderful experiences and learning so many interesting things about the Tusken culture, I hope that there's an additional payoff, not just for Boba, but for the Tuskens as well, because I don't want to see them all be slaughtered. And, there's got to be more hope for them at this point, I hope.
Yeah, I agree. There has to be. Cece, what did you feel about it? How did you feel about, do you think, we're going to get more of the, because it's, I'll get to that moment and later on, but do you think we're completely over it? And by the way, because I watched it twice, because both of y'all know who my favorite character of this show is right now, right? And I was so heartbroken. I was like, please don't tell me they killed her off. But I didn't see her. I didn't see her amongst the bodies. Did any of you? Did you see her?
So I thought we did. Like, that was, I couldn't remember if it was the chief that they zoomed in on or if it was her.
It was the chief that we zoomed in on, because that was basically the now I saw the chief, but I can't remember if we saw her. I don't think we saw her at all.
I've only watched it the once. I think I'm gonna have to watch it again, but I watched it live with Matt and Jason, and I think we're all under the impression that the female Tusken, for lack of a better character name, was amongst those bodies that he burned.
Oh, please! I hope not.
And of course, they're not.
Child made it?
That was one of the. I think. Well, and that little like stick that he was holding that he found amongst the bodies. Yeah. I think that belonged to the Tusken child. So I think that was implying, without us actually seeing a dead Tuscan child, that the child was amongst the dead. And of course, this is one tribe amongst the Tuskens. Like, we know that there's other ones around Tatooine. But I think we're definitely going to see more flashbacks. I think people are expecting that we're going to see flashbacks up until maybe the moment that he finds Fennec, because we still have to find out how he got Slave One back. And there's a few gaps that I think are still left. But as someone said before, I'd love to see more of Kamino. Before, I think they've just been rehashing like some little bits and pieces that we've seen before. But considering he makes comments like that he grew up around water, it'd be really interesting to see what his childhood was like on Kamino a little bit more.
Yeah, and because that's the interesting part to me, is the simple fact, and you brought that up, is because they keep going back to Kamino. Like, they keep going back to that same scene. There's something about that scene that they want us to know. Like, I don't understand it, but there is something about that scene that they pretty much, for us, they're trying to, I don't know if it's like they're like, yo, we need you guys to really understand that there is a connection in Boba. There's a reason why we keep panning to this scene, this particular scene. Like, there's a significance to it. Like, so I don't know, like you bring up an interesting point. Like, why do they keep going back to that particular scene? Like, why do we keep seeing it? And I hope that Kamino there's a particular reason why we're seeing it. You know what I mean? I hope there's connective tissue there. I know a lot of people felt as though it might be us getting ready to, or them possibly introducing Mace, that Mace might make an appearance in this, whatever. And I don't know. I don't know if he will, but what do you think about that?
I think that one of the reasons I think why they keep showing it is because Kamino was essentially destroyed. His home was destroyed. And so he can't ever go back home again, but he still has these memories of perhaps maybe happy times with his father there. I don't know what his father was like. I don't know what kind of father he was, but he tried to prepare Boba for the rough and tough galaxy that is in Star Wars. And, no matter what happens, even though Boba didn't actually, once his father passed away, it was the school of hard knocks. Like, it was tough for him, and of course he kind of, got on this feeling that he had to avenge his father and the attempts that were made in the Clone Wars. And I understand his feelings for that. He must have been very shaken seeing his father killed that way, and maybe even in some disbelief, but, perhaps he knows something else about Kamino that we don't know. And, even though we saw in the last season of the Clone Wars that everything was destroyed, I hope somewhere there's some secret lab under the water somewhere, or something, some kind of remnant there that he can return to, or at least, if he has to go back to Kamino for whatever reason it is, maybe he left something behind there. And maybe that's why they keep showing it over and over again.
Single songwriter, you bring up an interesting point, because so we see Jango, we see Jango's death in Attack of the Clones. How did Boba get off of the planet, if not taking Slave One back to Kamino? Because he's familiar with it. And he was smart, and he knows he's a pilot himself. So you bring up a point. Was that Jango flying the ship at that point?
Maybe not.
Maybe someone took the ship. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, single songwriter, you might be onto something. Like, it kind of has me thinking, like, maybe that was the case. Like, do we necessarily know? I don't know. But Kamino is playing a very significant role in his life. And I'm wondering why we keep making those flashes there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just really, really wondering why we're there. So, I don't know.
Slave One might be the last thing that exists that was Slave One also was also his father's ship. So Slave One might be the last thing that he associates with his father. So, whenever, even if let's say someone were to take the ship or it's not with him, that's sort of like the one thing that's other than his armor and, the book that he has that's been passed down to him. So that ship is incredibly important to him. It's not, replaceable in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, and I might have to say that it's no longer Slave One. What is Fire Spray? Is that the name of the actual ship now? It's called the Fire Spray.
Starship.
What I guess they said something about it being called the Fire Spray now. You see his face. He's like, what? Right.
They lost me at Starship, and now they're calling it a fire ship. What?
It's called the Fire Spray now. This is what the name is.
Next, it's going to be the not sharp Razor Crest.
Yeah, I don't know. Wait, hold up. Is there somebody's birthday? Wait. So in Luminara, is it today your happy birthday to you? Happy birthday, Luminar. Everybody say happy birthday to us. I mean, come on, man. Such an integral part of this show and every show. So happy that you're here. Mm-hmm. So, yes, thank you. And happy birthday to you. And I hope you had a good one. I hope you had a warm one, that is, wherever you are. But, yes, thank you for that. And mentioning
little birthday,
that.
Little Star Wars. That's a good night. That's a good night.
Yeah, that's right. It's a good night. Come on, man, Luminar. You're family, and we make you family. What did you – okay, so – all right, so we see the actual intro. We see basically that he still had these drifting dreams back to Kamino. We see that he was reliving the moment that he goes back after talking to the Pikes. He goes back and finds out that that entire camp was what we presumably would think that it was slaughtered. I didn't see that. Somebody mentioned earlier that neither the girl or the child was there. So do you think part of the tribe got away and some stayed behind while this was basically happening? I'm hoping that's the thing, but I didn't even want to see the chief go. I really didn't want to see that happen, but I know that it needed to happen for us to move forward with the progression of the actual show. So we see that, but then of course, we're coming out of the dream, and then it is a beast of a battle when we get, let's see here, I'm gonna bring him in. We get this guy who, like, literally, I have never been afraid of a Wookiee more so than now. Like, literally, when I saw this, I was like, yo, what is going on? But let me bring him in here. I have never been so afraid of a Wookiee. And when we saw this beast, like, literally. But now my question is it just like anybody can just walk into, like, how? How did he get in that palace?
Everyone was sleeping.
Like, how did he get in? How?
Too much spotchka. They all passed out.
They must have, but like, how did he get? I was trying to figure out, like, how did he get in and how did he get in the room? Like, literally, where was Fennec saying, like, come on, man, like, he could just sneak in like that?
Yeah.
Or was he transported in or something? Like, what's up?
Yeah, it's a question that I find myself asking over and over again. Like, this palace is easy to get into, even despite they've got this giant hangar door, right? That looks like it would be hard to get in through that way. Apparently there's another way you can slip in and pull somebody out of their bacta tank, like literally right out of the bacta tank. Just
yes.
Gosh,
yes.
I mean,
like literally pulled him out. And couldn't that have been dangerous to do so? I think. I mean, coming out of a bacta tank, especially when you're healing, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. It just seems strange. Like, and I'm just still trying to figure out, like, how the hell did he get in that room? How did he get in the palace in general? Is like there a chimney or something? Like, I don't know. Like a vent that he might have actually climbed, or a secret corridor, or is he or is he familiar with the palace? Might he had been there before? I don't know.
It seemed like Jabba had so many more people in his court
Yeah.
And, maybe he had a bunch or a crew hanging around all the time, and they were all sleeping around. So, or at least visible within the hallways, even as you go in. But, this, he went, it's really funny because, I thought that was it. This is the end of it. He's going to split, Boba in half because he's just so incredibly strong looking, and it looks like nothing could really bring him down. And it really didn't. They weren't able to kind of like bring him down. They had to trap him in the end, right?
Yeah, they did. And Pedro Lopez, you might have solved it because of their connection to Jabba. They probably told him how to get in. So, hey, you know what? Because they did say that they sent him there and they apologized, but they know how to get in. So I get there. Hey, mystery solved.
Come Christmas, don't forget to leave out a glass of blue milk for BK over here when he comes down your chimney.
Right?
Well for you.
Leave some milk for him or something like that. Or leave some milk and run. Because if he's coming, like literally.
He looks great. No, the one thing I will say, it's funny because like I was very critical of this episode, and I have to admit that because we've been doing like live reaction streams to these over at Rogue 16. But Matt pointed out that there's not a lot of Star Wars characters that should be shown on screen running, and I think BK was one of those. When he ran away, it kind of, like Jason said, it looked like he thought the suit was too hot and was like, gotta get out.
Yeah.
He didn't look like the badass that he's supposed to be when he was running, so I think...
Yeah.
He looks a little Bigfoot-ish, like that famous picture where the Bigfoot is kind of turning, he goes, that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like, here's my thing. And look, this is where I think the progression of the show, and I don't know, and everybody in the chat, you can also chime in. It's like, I think I'm over them making him look like a punk. Like literally, I think I'm over, like he's getting tossed around. It's like, yo, they just have Boba more so dependent on everyone else, to fight his battles than him. And you're supposed to be the most badass bounty hunter in the galaxy, and yet you getting tossed around like you just a piece of cheese or something. Like what's am I wrong in feeling that way? Or do you feel like maybe like they need to show the progression? Like he's just like, I'm just over that. I'm so, come on, we know Boba a totally different way. We know what he's. Look, you introduce him in season 2 of The Mandalorian. You give him a badass scene, so you're setting the expectation that we're going to see this continuation on his own show, and we haven't gotten that yet. Like, what's up? I mean,
to be fair, he literally was caught with his pants down.
Yeah,
like those are. Like to be, but there's no excuse for the other fights where he clearly, needed a lot of assistance. But I agree. It's like, I know he said in this episode he's an ex bounty hunter, but come on, like, not. I don't want Twilight Years Boba. Like I still want him kicking butt and taking names.
It seems like he is holding back on purpose, doesn't it? Because Fennec is always like, we could feed him to this, or we could give you put your head on something, and he's like, we not yet, keep them alive, or kind of like pulling her back in her reactions. And so, what's interesting about this particular episode is that it implies, from what they've said, is that war is coming. Yeah. And so, I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's great, but it doesn't feel like they're prepared. No. While he has resources and probably does have a lot of equipment and, all sorts of weapons, I feel that, he may need an army to battle against the Pikes that are coming, but they said war was coming. So, we know that the next episode is going to be something that's supposed to be incredibly violent. And I'm looking forward to some action that, kind of can shift the way things are going for him, which is he's not really in control. There's these 3 other families that are in control. Yeah. And so, he thinks that he's, the Daimo, but in actuality, none of these guys are listening to him. Yeah. In fact, that's why they sent the assassins. That's why the twins were like, yeah, we sent him to kill you. But we just, since he couldn't kill you, we're just going to give you this, and, no hard feelings. Yeah. Bye. Like they're so arrogant about it that they don't even care that it's so, this is not a position he wants to be in, even just for anybody to have that much confidence that they can just go ahead and make an attempt on his life, whether it's successful or not. Somebody's putting bounties on your head and you were a bounty hunter. Like it's really an odd position for him to be in, with these three groups that he has to somehow, turn to, accept him as their leader. So, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but where is his gang? Because I don't know whether the Vespas of Mod Espa are going to be enough to kind of like shift the tide for him.
Yeah, that's what and you bring up an interesting point, because, he ended off by saying, well, we will be prepared. So is it that, because somebody had an interesting point. I think I saw it up here earlier, is that, maybe his plan is to draw everyone there, to draw everybody in. I think that was Tom Jr. Jackson. It was like to draw everybody there into one particular space. So it's a process of elimination by inviting everyone there so the battle can ensue and he can assert his dominance. Because all we're hearing is that everybody is saying no one respects you at all. You're not respected. You're not looked upon as being this fierce individual. They call him old man and this, that, and the third. I mean, come on, man. You pick up a whole bunch of teenagers practically to fight your battles, and they got these colorful bikes that like don't look like they belong. You're not hurting for money if you got those bikes. You know what I mean? So it's like, when are we going to see this progression forward? Like, when are we going to actually see that? And I'm wondering, like I said, because look, we have the Pikes showing up, like we got these ships showing up with like just everybody on it. So we know there's going to be all out war, and we know that we're not just going to see the Pikes. So now, are we going to see allegiance with the Tuskens? Or are we going to see basically some more bounty hunters that are rallying to his cause? What you think, CC?
I think so, because there's a scene that was all over the trailers of all the bounty hunters sitting at that long table where Fennec and Boba Fett were eating. So I imagine, as much as I didn't like this episode, I'm hoping it's now we've kind of got a lot of the filler out of the way, and it's okay. Like we didn't know really his motivation for wanting to be a crime lord. Now we know, because of the background with the Tuskens, he's got like some skin in the game because he lost people he cared about and respected. And then now we have a name to put to this anonymous villain. We thought it was the mayor. Now we know it's the Pikes. And we know he's come up against them before because of that awesome train sequence in the last episode. So I'm hoping that now it's more about, like people have said, like army building and preparing for an actual fight. We've got to get something, because I think that
this slow build is if this is what, and the thing is, we know that Jon Favreau wrote this, like he wrote the entire season. You know what I mean? So, somebody had at a point was like, look, we're coming off of The Mandalorian, 2 successful seasons of The Mandalorian. You know what I mean? So the expectation for this show was extremely high. And right now, it's like we're just watching, I don't know. I don't know. It's like this show is like something that I can watch on the Sci-Fi Channel right now.
Yeah.
That's just the way I feel about it, because the progression is just really slow. Now, look, is my confidence in this show wavered? No. I still think that it has room to breathe. There's 5 more, no, 4, is it 5 more episodes? Or 4 more? 4 more episodes, okay. So we still got 4 more episodes. Hopefully there, we can see something, kick off, but I don't know. Like, it's weird.
Well, it's something I noticed is, like, Jon Favreau wrote all the episodes, but Robert Rodriguez directed the first one and then this one.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a fan of either of those episodes. I thought the second one was stronger than the first one and this one. But also, I think what a lot of people are calling for, like, more, not violence, but like more of the Boba Fett we all anticipated, like the badass we know he is. And Robert Rodriguez directed that episode in Mando where he was killing stormtroopers left, right, and center in very vicious, violent ways with a gaffy stick. So I don't know where the switch is, where suddenly now we get like Vespa chases that were like marginally slower than the O.J. Simpson car chase.
Yeah, right.
And
Right.
tossed around by a Wookiee. It's almost like all those traits that we loved about Boba Fett in that episode of Mando, we got in BK. So I do hope, I hope it gets better.
Yeah.
And that part when Boba Fett says, "Then we will be ready," it felt like a 300 moment to me, because I said, "Oh my God, is this it?" Like, I thought we saw the pikes coming off of the starship, but then I thought, are we going to see something else? Are they going to show us something else? Like, we will be ready. And then Boba looks at a console, and then you see another starship or some kind of badass thing, like that's going to be shown in the background. But I didn't see anything. And I said,
nah.
Where's the 300? This was the 300 moment for me. Like, I was very excited then, but I didn't see anything. And I said, that's okay. The beginning of the episode has this where they show the monk, that electronic spider monk. And I wondered, the character has been shown before, like they've shown them before in other Star Wars series, but I wondered if they wanted us to start thinking about whether Boba is getting philosophical now, and whether he is looking for a path to enlightenment. There was some reason why they had to show us this. And I said, okay, it can't just be a coincidence. Great. Now you're seeing them, but perhaps, he's spoken to them for guidance, and is, maybe they're saying, don't take it, just go a certain path or a certain way, or don't try to choose a path that with the least amount of violence, for all we know. So I tried to think, maybe that was one of the reasons why they showed the monks. I'm just trying to think of, what the purpose of this is. Will Boba, I had kind of asked myself this question before, how far is Boba willing to go to achieve his goals? Will he just go ahead and say, I can't be violent, I can't do that anymore, and I want to do it in a peaceful manner, and surprise us all with this, because now he's had this sort of enlightenment after dealing with the Tuskens, after some of the experiences he's had from the changes that he's had.
That's I don't know. Now, there was an upside. There was basically an upside to this episode, and if look, you got Robert Rodriguez, you cannot think that you're not going to see Danny Trejo in this. And on top of that, we got a Rancor that's being delivered to the palace as a gift. Come on, man! Like, I was happy because I'm a Danny Trejo fan. I love that guy. I've always loved him. Every movie that he's in, he steals the show. And I was happy to see him. Now he's training a Rancor. I'm like, yo, okay, I'm all in for it. And now we're finding out that basically the emotional attachment that Rancor has to its owner, and that, he looks at Boba, they kept the eyes shut for a particular reason. And now that he sees Boba, there's that level of ownership because he's kind to him. And now he wants to learn how to ride him. Yo, you think we're going to see that him and the Rancor and Mos Espa just basically like wrecking shop?
Yes.
Oh.
And it's going to be more exciting than watching that Cadillac go down the main street with those Vespas behind it, I assure you.
Yeah.
It's going to be something pretty exciting. And, this Rancor is just going to surprise us all. And it's going to be kind of nice. I honestly think that it's a very nice touch for him to have something that he can kind of grow with and enjoy. And, if he's not going to have a relationship with another person, then perhaps the Rancor will give him, any whatever care and love he needs. And that's fine for now. Yeah. But he had to have some kind of a relationship with something. It couldn't just be where he's sort of like the solo figure and, he's not attached to anything. We know that he's a dynamic person, a very deep person. And obviously he has things he cares about, but there had to be something else that was going on in his life that adds meaning to him, to what he's doing and to why he exists.
Yeah, definitely. You make a good point. Like it's for him, and it's a sense of power. See, that's the thing, is like when I see this, it's like, okay, it's a warm up. They're giving him, it's a power structure. Now we're seeing things added to the fray. Like, it's sort of like he's bringing in like different individuals to kind of round out a gang. The cybernetic kids, that's the whole thing that they could have been added last. It would have made more sense if they would have been like, we want to join you. Not that he's no, we want to join in on the fight. That would have made it. It would have been more believable to me, and I'd have been like, all right, cool, I'm with that. But having them first, I was like, yeah, nah, I'm just not buying it.
And they all looked like they had recently shopped at like H&M and Zara. That's what bothered me firstly. I'm like, why is this chick in a crop motor jacket that I could buy at Zara next season? Like that they didn't. Besides the really colorful Vespas, which I was very vocal about, where I'm like, why when they're constructing this and putting like 15 different chrome mirrors on these Vespas, did they think like this does not look like Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yo,
It just doesn't fit with Tatooine, and it kind of like someone mentioned when we were watching it live, Rogue One, and I know Rogue One, Gareth Edwards had all of the guys like grow out their facial hair to get like 70 sideburns.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't need to see like 50s American graffiti. Like next you're gonna go to the what is it, the soda fountain, and get a bunch of shakes and like blue milk shakes and about their shenanigans. I just didn't like the look of them at all, or that they were necessary. Like Boba Fett probably would have died had she not intervened.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with like a badass female character, but I want to see Boba Fett step up a little bit more. And as far as the Rancor goes, so my first instinct was I don't want to see him ride a Rancor because I think it's a little too theatrical. But I had to think about Quill's quote in Mando, where he met him and he was like, your people, your kind, like the Mandalorians rode the great mythosaur. I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm into it because it's him kind of like reconnecting with his culture, perhaps.
Yeah.
He can't ride a mythosaur, but the next best thing, especially something we have synonymously with Tatooine and also with Jabba's crime syndicate that he used a Rancor, kind of taking over with a Rancor. I think I would dare say it's like a Daenerys moment. Where like, is this his Drogon? Like this is his dragon that he's gonna like ride into battle before he, kicks butt and takes names. That would be up for seeing.
Yeah, I mean, interesting, definitely interesting. Because like I said, I mean, it does, and with Boba, it seemed like he was more excited that a piece of that puzzle was now shifted in, and it's something that he can use to his advantage. Because he was very adamant, I want to learn how to ride it. You know what I mean? So he does have a purpose, with this thing. But the thing is, it's like that has to be fleshed out in 4 episodes. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're talking about 4 episodes. I don't want to like you. So what? He's just going to all of a sudden learn how to ride it in 4 days? Like, literally, like it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it. Maybe they might save that if there's a episode. I mean, a season 2. I don't know, but I don't know. I just the pace has to be picked up. Like it literally has to be picked up because where it's sitting right now, it's just like I don't know. Like I was so excited about episode 3 because I was like, all right, maybe we'll see something. Maybe it's time and we'll actually see something.
Pedro reminded me. I'm sorry. It was actually the '60s like British mod scene.
Yeah.
That they're going off of, and I never thought in a million years I'd hear the word mate in a Star Wars show.
Yeah.
And I'm an Anglophile. Like I love British culture, but that just really took me out of the universe.
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt like I don't know. We got a $2 super chat by Bob Dylan. So Boba is going to go full Turok Mach 2. Hey, yeah, right. I think that's the connection. So we might actually see that. What were we going to say?
I was going to say maybe from what I've heard people say this, but maybe if they were on Coruscant, and they were sort of like more well off, and I could see kids like that there, but not on Tatooine.
Yeah.
It should have been steampunk looking stuff that they had. Or if they were going to go for another style, and that's not even really maybe it could fit into Star Wars, maybe, but it's the wrong style for this, and unless they were well off and they could get whatever they wanted to, get $1 million cybernetic implant. But even their cybernetics, when the man said, oh, they're half man, half machine, I was expecting something more shocking or more impressive, and I wasn't really impressed, even though they paid a lot of money for their stuff. it just didn't look like they paid a lot of money for it.
Somebody was following your lead. Like you spoke somebody's language. They said the same things. The teens here. This is Dylan Compton with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He said teens in their Vespas look very Coruscant Attack of the Clones to me. I like them, but they belong on core worlds, not Tatooine. It's weird. And I was, you know what? I was thinking like, look, you had so much to play with. Like, why not get a marauder gang of Trandosians that were there that you saw them? You know, get them to rally to your cause because Trandosians can be vicious as well. Like, why not? That would have made more sense to me. You know, have them riding on dewbacks or something like that. I don't know. Give us something like that. It would have made it would have made so much more sense. But I'm like, what? Did they just maybe they were on Coruscant and they just were off-worlders who came to that planet to just trying to find a job and they brought their bikes, their Vespas. I don't know. The thing is, I wanted to find something, and that's why I went back to watch it. I wanted to find something, but the episode to me was forgettable. Like, it wasn't something that I can see. Like, I would watch it, and even like, you know, with the episode that we saw, or it was season 1 of Mandalorian, you know, when we were first introduced to Fennec, and you know, I forget the name of he was so forgettable as well in that episode, the Han Solo wannabe.
I don't remember his name either.
I forget his name, but anyway, you know, he, you know, I guess he was part of the guild as well. He was trying to be part of the guild. I'm not really sure, but I don't know. That episode, even though it was a filler, it was more interesting than this one was.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, like, we've seen Mando in some scuffs, but he always came out on top and he was a badass. I'm like, yo, it just makes me feel like Mando can whoop Boba's ass. Like, just the way it just seems that's my perception from where I see it. I'm like, yo, come on. This is the Boba that we know. Not the one that you're showing us right now is not the one that we know. Like, you know what I mean? We know what he's capable of. We know that he's supposed to be feared throughout the galaxy. When did we see that?
And then I also thought that perhaps since like in the history of Mandalorians being violent or using violence to get what they want, with the exception of Satine, who said, no, we shouldn't be violent. You know, we should kind of, you know, be peaceful and stop doing this violence thing. And her own sister kind of being the person who's like, no, we should still be violent. This is our traditions and you can't destroy our traditions. You know, maybe Boba's going more towards the Satine route where he feels like he wants to reduce the amount of violence. I mean, I was just trying to think of what his mindset is and why he often doesn't act, because we're all waiting for him to kick some ass. That's what we're all waiting for. But perhaps he's adopting more of a Satine philosophy, in a sense.
Yeah. Look, I'm hoping. I'm really hoping, because it's like what we're getting so far is I don't know. I don't the intent. I know it's there, and I know that they're trying to expand on the story. They want us to know it. It is the Book of Boba. I get that, but it's like, okay, we've seen this. Like, where else are we going to go with it? You know what I mean? And I would much rather actually see an entire episode dedicated to Fennec at this point. You know, I think it's time for us to see, you know, her vantage point of how she's seeing all this. You know what I mean? Because we know that, you know, when we look at it, somebody actually, Max, you came. Oh, thank you, Max came through. His name was Toro Calican. Was it Calican?
Thanks, Max.
Toro Calican. Hey, thank you, man. Thanks for that. But I mean, I don't know. I think it's like we're building up to something. The meat is there.
I want them to bring back the war in Star Wars.
Yes.
Right now, it's like
we just see Star.
yeah.
We just see Star right now.
I'd be really. I know it's. I don't want to see like a very pacifist Boba Fett. If I wanted like pacifism, I'd be a bigger Star Trek fan. Like, I feel like I want the conflict. I want there to always be a fight between good guys and bad guys, a balance between the two, right? So I'm hoping that, and the Pikes certainly seem interesting. Yeah. Especially the fact that we've seen them from Solo. So I'm hoping that this was kind of just like the appetizer before the main course where like things really kick off, because certainly we're running out of episodes to wrap things up.
Like we really are. And it's just like if it's your plan to have these episodes in the very beginning and you're saving the best for last, with these episodes and how divisive they've been, you could lose people. Like literally you could lose people because their faith in this show 3 episodes in, and we haven't seen Mando every episode. Boom, boom, boom. We just got, and I hate to keep comparing it to Mando because I know it's a totally different approach, but man, like give us something.
Well, what if you even compared it to like a Clone Wars episode, where or a Clone Wars episode that featured a Mandalorian, let's say, where there's a lot of action scenes, there's a lot of fighting.
So much more exciting, yeah. And Filoni he is directing episode 6, so.
Mm-hmm. I mean, even if we compare it to the Clone Wars or a regular Clone Wars episode dealing with Mandalorians, there's a lot more excitement and a lot more tension in the episodes. There's actually not a lot of tension, is there? Do you feel any tension in any of these episodes?
No.
Like,
there's no high stakes.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that we don't have that. I mean, I did say, "Oh shit!" Like when he pulled him out of the back to tank. I was actually kind of smiling because I was like, "Oh, it's going down!" Right?
Yeah, right.
But it didn't quite turn out the way, and I think the reason why it didn't turn out the way that I wanted for me is because I wanted to see like Boba get a broken arm and be like, oh, shit, just be realistic about how large this creature is, and that he could like probably kill you with one blow. This is
bro. So he got hit in the face with brass knuckles with spikes, electric, and this like got up like it was nothing.
So then I have to wonder if he doesn't kill him like that when he could have killed him. Is there a reason? Like, is he working with him? I'm like, is this for show? Was he working with him all along? I'm mystified by it because it doesn't make sense in that way. And also that it's a corny race. It was corny with the guy who is the mayor's envoy. He's corny. Come on, guys. Yeah. This guy, how did he get this job? He must know somebody high up in the huts. Come on. He's like the worst. Well, I am very sorry. Come on. This is not Star Wars. He would have been like devoured by now. He couldn't survive, Mos Espa or Tatooine. Now, if he was on Coruscant, he fits right in. He could be as splendorous and kind of fancy and all creative and do whatever he wants to do. We'd be like, okay, it's Coruscant. This is how people are in Coruscant. But this is Tatooine. We need to kind of like, if he was going to be that way, just something somewhat more imaginative. And he might have been like, well, what did you expect? You think he was going to hang around for you, Boba? He was like a snarky SOB or something. But this kind of like jumping into what it really looked like a Cadillac. It didn't even look like a Land Cruiser.
Yeah.
It was all very Cadillac, very campy. But the only thing you said it earlier, where it's like it'd be nice as we're sitting through these very campy scenes and all these episodes that have been more letdowns than episodes, if we find out that he had an end game and it all is kind of like a domino effect, but we just didn't know what his plan was. I know like there's a really great scene in Rebels with Thrawn, and a lot of people, I've watched like reviews of that episode, and they said that one episode where he confronts Harrison Dula for the first time was like our first real introduction to Thrawn, because if you look at the scene closely, you could literally see like the wheels turning, and you find out piece by piece how he came to the conclusion that the Twi'lek who was in front of him was Harrison Dula. So it'd be great if we find out that like there's a like BK has always had an alliance with Boba Fett because they used to work together in the past, and that maybe it was BK who suggested, as a consolation, give him a Rancor. So then Boba Fett would have this Rancor that he thought the public would get their respect, because Mandalorians are rare, but everyone knows the myth about the mythosaurs. And how great would it be to see, how powerful would it be to the people who see this guy walking amongst the streets, not in a litter, to be on a Rancor. And getting other bounty hunters into the fight, because God knows those Power Rangers are not going to be enough.
Not at all. And which, like, that's what I'm saying. It leads me to believe that with the next couple of episodes, we're going to see him now developing his crew, or probably making some calls off world to get people there, or rounding up the bounty. Like I said, I want to see that type of an actual episode, to where it's more now us against them. You know what I mean? Just when you think mainly, I just want to see you carrying around a blaster pistol. You have everything with you, everything that you need. Use it. Like use it because if anything, those they shouldn't have been chasing him. Boba should have been actually chasing that guy, like
Yeah.
literally. And he shows up at the very end, and I'm like, come on, like literally, come on, like
So far, the most exciting, or actually the scariest part to me, was when that train went through and they started shooting at the Tuscans. That one
yeah,
hurt me. Like I felt hurt, and I
yeah,
was like, you can't kill them like that, you know? Like,
yeah,
and I
yeah,
was like, I want to feel that kind of a intensity, or just repulsion of what these guys have done to them,
yeah,
and I'm maybe the war is going to be greater between the remaining Tuscans and the Pike Syndicate
yeah,
than Boba really even is involved in a sense.
yeah, yeah,
Perhaps that's it. Perhaps that's why we saw so many Pikes coming off the ship, because they're like, oh, we know that there might be 10 million Tuscans in the desert. And, we've got to destroy all these Tuscans for good now. We've got to get rid of whoever might cause an issue in the future. So perhaps that's part of it. But it is kind of, I do feel like we're in the dark. We're very much in the dark about what's going on. And it's very hard to be in that position because I feel like they've given us more clues in the past in other things.
They have. And it's like the space that we're existing in right now is just we're completely clueless. Dylan says, am I the only one that thought Danny Trejo was lying about the Rancor and that it was going to attack Boba on sight? No, you're not. You're not the only one. I felt that.
I thought it was a Trojan horse situation.
Yep.
I was kind of disappointed when it wasn't. I was like, man, that would have been edgy and like unexpected. But no, I guess okay.
Especially when he walked up after he took off the eye guards and he walked up and started petting and it was looking at him. I thought it was just going to just eat him, like just bite him right then and there, and it didn't. So I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Dylan, you're not the only one. I think half of us out there thought the same daggone thing, like literally the same thing. I was thinking about this earlier as well. So the Pikes and the Maris connection, and knowing that now he's seeking refuge away now that the Pikes can. So now the Pikes arriving is the mayor's way of wiping out Boba so he can reassert his position, once the war has completely ended. And we already know that there's some Pikes that are there that he met with, in the dream sequence and stuff like that. Do you think that they back then saw, in a sense, Boba's intention in his development and why this was something that they probably warned the mayor about? That, look, we know, just from firsthand experience that, he came to us trying to say that we had to pay, I keep always forgetting Tuscan warriors. We had to actually pay them for passage and protection. So they're seeing that, his leadership qualities there. And they might have felt his intentions going forward was to basically come back to Tatooine and set precedents that these Tuscans can take over and have a peace or whatever. So, making that deal with the mayor, saying, okay, this is something that's going to come. We need to kind of eliminate the competition before it happens. And it's like, yep, Boba's arrived. I told you this was going to happen. Now we have to set this plan in motion. Do you think that might have been something that could possibly have been as well?
I think it would have been cool if there was some sort of legend in the Tuscan, tribe that someone would come that would help them in a difficult time, and maybe Boba would be it, or if it's not Boba, then it's one of like this warrior Tuscan, the lady. She would now rise to be able to challenge things, and from a vision or something. I think that's a very cool sound. But what I'm kind of curious too is, after we finish talking about this, is just to talk about the three groups of the Trandoshians, the Aqualish, and the Cletonians, who I know nothing about. I want to know what you guys know about them because I know nothing about them.
Or the Cletonians?
Yeah, the Trandoshians, the Aqualish, and the Cletonians.
Well, the Trandoshians, we already know. I mean, they can be ruthless. They can be conniving. They're ruthless. They're traitors. They're slave owners. They've enslaved so many different individuals. Of course, we know, Bosmi and a Trandoshian himself. Which I think that we're going to actually end up seeing him back again. there's so much, with these particular tribes and checks, because they're all of them, are pretty much crime lords, crime, like they're crime lords, crime bosses. They've had history, even as off-worlders, they, and off in different, planets and stuff like this. There's even Trandosians on Coruscant, like hidden Trandosians on Coruscant. So that's what I'm saying. Like they all play an intricate role because their means is to pretty much dominate, the galaxy themselves, each set, and taking over, asserting dominance, and just having that flow of going to different planets, mining it for its resources, and it turning it into profit. So they're all known for that. So and again, a wretched hide on Tatooine, like this is basically where everything happens. Like it's like I think about it, I'm just like, damn, Tatooine would be the last place I would visit, like literally, that I would want to go. Because it's like you cannot make it out alive. Like literally, it's just so much going on. They might, slave trading, like, what I mean? You got to deal with so much and so many different things. Yeah. So it's just going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how this kind of pans out.
I was hoping that scene of like plotting out the actual city was a reminder that this is like at its heart in my opinion, supposed to be like a gang or crime syndicate show. So I think that was kind of a reminder to us that, hey, here's these groups of people we haven't seen yet. Yeah. That Boba Fett needs to make sure on board with him.
Yeah.
That they have their ducks in a row, that they're part of the same team, that they're willing to take orders from him if what he wants is to lead the crime syndicate. Mm-hmm. So I think that's again part of like the enforcement building, the army building that hopefully we'll see in the next episode.
I hope so. Like, I mean, because it's all a part about world building. It's all about telling a story, and we know we want a good story, but it just seems like, I don't know. Like the first episode, I was on board with it. Second episode, I loved it. And I'm like, there's nowhere else they can go but up from here. And it's like, now we take a pit stop. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. And I don't want to be harsh because it did have some very interesting moments. Like, I mean, we did get a chance to see the, Chrysanthemum, go in and wreck shop a tad bit. But I would have much rather had seen him, Boba, and Fennec go at it rather than those,
Yep.
Yeah, it would have made more sense. The Gamorrean guards, they came in and he tackled them down the steps. That was badass. Like I was like, that's crazy. Like just to see them go at it, it was incredible. But and they's like, yo, we'll fight you to the end. Like we we'll do whatever we need to do. And I'm so glad they didn't die. He just said take one to the baptist tank and let him heal.
He did pull a Tyson and bite that one. Like
he did.
You know what my favorite food group is? Bacon. And he was like, no, that guy. One thing needs a baptist tank.
Yeah, right.
That stairs, that was pretty. I was like, oh my gosh, like are both of them gonna make it off this stairs alive? Like, geez.
Yeah.
I don't want to see one with like a broken neck. I think that'd be a bit much.
Yeah, like he charged them. He immediately was like, oh, let me take them out, because I think it's like one is one thing, but when you have two of them coming at you, it's like let me weaken them first. So I think that was very strategic, for him. So, and he's, he is somewhat of a gladiator, but yeah, I mean, and then the twins, I mean, because I'm saying to myself, I'm like, all of this basically just happened. You're finding out that the twins sent him to assassinate and kill you. And it's just so easy for them to come back after he's been captured to say, we're sorry. We're sorry. Like, we're sorry. And that, okay, accept this as a gift. And then on top of that, they're like, sell the Wookie. And if I was him, I'd be like, what? Oh, so I did all of this for you, and now you try. Oh, yeah, okay.
That's why he ran the way he did. He was a little apprehensive. It wasn't like a... It was more like a okay, like they shouldn't show money.
He's probably running up to catch up to them. Like, what you said? So you told him to sell me? Oh, so that's what it's like? Okay, I'm killing everybody.
Can I jump on that litter? It's hot out here.
Like let's go.
They can take another 200 pounds. Come on.
Straight up. I mean, I don't know. I think again, like somebody said earlier, that he's not done. He's going to probably help him out. He'll probably help out Boba out in the end, especially Boba sparing his life. You know what I mean? They did spare him, and not kill him. So, and did let him go free. So he's probably going to take that as a sign of, because we all know Wookiees have life debts. You know what I mean? They do, regardless, especially if you free them from, certain they feel as though they owe you. So, he might be like, Boba, I'm here because I owe you. So, and you know what? And that's what I think how it should have ended. Like to have, Chrysanthemum and Fennec by your side. Like, what else do you need at that point? You got muscle, you got strategic. Like, come on, man. Like, there you go. Like, I don't know. Hopefully that's what we'll see.
And she could have said, he'll be back, or something
like that. Like he'll be back. I know he will. Or something like, I know Wookiees, he'll be back. You know what I mean? Like something like that. It would have made so much more sense, man.
It's like there's someone here to pay tribute to you, and it's sorry.
You said, Tobar said BK is for hire. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
BK is for hire. So we already know he'll definitely be back. Oh, man, I cannot. What was that? Ben Cave. How badass would that have been? I don't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Yeah, like I don't know. Like I don't know. We'll see. And what was this? Blitz 0065. Why is the most feared bounty hunter not using fellow badass warriors he's worked with to help him instead of an unknown team Vespa group? You're right. That's what I'm saying. Like,
so, did Boba promise someone that he was not going to use force? Did he make a promise to somebody?
I didn't hear it if he did. Only thing he said was he was going to rule with respect. So we know that.
I do wonder if it's a situation where, like, because we've seen it with Mando, at least with the guild, that there's honor amongst thieves. There's kind of like a camaraderie between bounty hunters, but in the end, they just want to do a job and get paid for it. So I wonder if it's going to be a situation where, like, we're anticipating both at being like, yo, like I need my guys to help me out with this. Yeah. And them being like pound sand. Like we're not warriors for hire. We're bounty hunters for hire. We're maybe assassins for hire, but this is not our game. And we also don't do it for free. So there's got to be something in it to them. Because like in game, in the end, like it's their life on the line. It's got to be worth it to them. And they don't have any dog in this fight. Boba Fett does. Yeah. So I think it's going to take a lot of convincing, and I'm hoping that that's what he means by ruling with respect. He's going to have to earn. He's obviously perhaps already earned their respect, but it's going to take a lot more convincing to that to kind of bring them to his cause.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Cold Pizza. Yeah, he did say, you know what, Cold Pizza, every time I see your name, it's a dope ass name, but you make me hungry because I literally love, like, I used to wake up in the morning, like pizza, overnight pizza, when you eat it in the morning and it's cold, is so good. Like, literally, I love that name, but yeah, I do. I love that name. Okay, help it. But no, you're right. Like, there has to be an end game here. Maybe there's something that he's going to promise them, like, there's money here to be had if we work together. Because, again, we haven't seen that scene yet when everybody's sitting at the table. So I wonder if that last scene, if that's going to be the last episode where everybody's sitting at the table together, and that we have to get through the war to see that. You know what I mean? I don't know. But it would make so much sense. But it's like, yo, okay. And I know that Tamora Morrison was talking about the final episode, or did he say episode 6 or 7? I don't know. He said the final episode, or one of the episodes, it's bonkers. So I'm like, well, can you give us some bonkers stuff in some of the other episodes? Like, literally, I need to see some of that.
Yeah, it's like I'm hoping they're saving the best for last.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's fair enough to say that we probably will see Din Djarin in this.
You think so?
Fighting with him because he kind of owes him in a way. Like, he had his back, and Din might say it's the honorable thing to do, or maybe he needs the money, or for whatever reason Din might be involved in this. I could see Din helping him because it's like a reciprocation in a sense. And they seem to get along. There's no issue with them, right? Yeah. But who else would come to the call? Who else would come to the call that we can think of?
Maybe, because I think they announced today that she's getting her own spinoff, but maybe like Bo-Katan.
Bo-Katan, yeah. Yeah. I
Wouldn't
can't wait
that
for
be something if she came to his aid after all? But would it be at a price?
It might be at a price because we could see her actually come to his aid and say, okay, now that we helped you, we need you to actually help us on Mandalore. And that's what I'm thinking. That's how they could probably tie it all together. You know what I mean? Like, because we are supposed to get season 3, and he is by Creed a Mandalore. You know what I mean? He's a Mandalorian because it's passed down through his from his father to him. So, and he already actually showed that. So, I don't know. It could be like that. That would be interesting to see. But then again, it's like, okay, do we lean on that? When does it become one of those situations where, okay, do we need that to push the narrative along? Like, you know what I mean? Or like Max Geekdom said, could we see Dengar, Zuckuss, Forlom, and Bosk? Could we see them? And I'm hoping we do. I really want to see them. I want a hot toy, damn it. So I really, literally, I want to see them because I think it's opportunity for it, to see the gang back together. You know what I mean? And I would love to see them all get busy. I really would.
I think they're keeping something a secret for sure. I don't want to think that this is it. I just have to have faith that they're keeping something a secret, and we're still going to be very, shocked and awed by what happens. I hope so.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's I don't know. This episode was just you know what? It was crazy because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to put the thumbnail up until I see this episode. I want to see how this episode, because I was excited about it, but then after I watched it, I was like, man, I know. I purposely didn't watch certain like I didn't watch other people critique it and talk about it. I didn't watch other reviews. I was like, I don't, because I know it's going to be as divisive as I think it will be. Some people will love it, some people won't. And that was just kind of hard for me to dig through it. I was like, man, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. I want to be excited. I want to be so excited that next week we have this conversation and we're just like, you know what, finally we got what we wanted.
Well, I think I'm hopeful because it's almost like the last time we got like a not so decent episode. It's like, hey, it can only go up from here. Like, even if next episode the only exciting thing or highlight we have is that like round table scene with all of the bounty hunters, I'd be down for that. But I did I always tend to, after I've watched it, I will watch like a few review videos, and I will say that even some of the more positive reviewers that I tend to watch, the ones that kind of pick out the Easter eggs that kind of make like flesh out the scenes that I didn't like a little bit more, I think they even struggled to find a few redeeming aspects of this episode. But I'm still excited for the next one. Yeah. But I think that's just, we're addicts, and it's we gotta get our fix.
That's who we are. Like we want to see it. I think, come on, man, they owe us this. Like, literally, you owe us a decent episode. It's about time you give us something, because this right here is just like, come on, man. Like, how much longer do we have to see this? Like, I don't know.
And are we going to see Pele again? I mean, we saw her kind of like briefly, as I guess Boba was asking for directions from Ask a Jawa. At least that's what I'm calling it now, since they seem to know everything. You just ask a Jawa. But is she going to play any role, or did we just happen to see her just walk by?
I think we'll see her again. I think we'll see her again. I definitely think we'll see her again, because especially for informative, and maybe ask her what she's seen. I mean, we're definitely going to see her again. I believe that. I mean, you can't just have a character like that and not, you know what I mean, utilize it to the best of your advantage. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Robert. You're Robert Rodriguez, man. You directed 2 episodes, and I'm just like, I know somebody was like, I saw it in the chat, like he can only direct what's written, and I agree with that. Like, he can only direct what's written, and it's not, not taken away from him, because he's a brilliant director. I mean, I love his movies. That's why I'm like, and I love that episode in Mandalorian. So that's why I'm like, come on, give us that. It's time for some more of that. And maybe he's just basically like, I'm just not going to just hand out all my cards. You just got to kind of wait a little bit, and I'll give you some of that. But I don't know. I mean,
I realized with Robert Rodriguez, what was that movie called? Oh my gosh, now I just don't remember it. I remember the character's name is Cherry Darling, but you mentioned like he directed Alita.
Yeah.
Well, he directed. I think it was It was like a old school like two-parter, almost like a drive-in situation where you'd watch one movie and then you had to. But it was with Rose McGowan.
Yeah.
And she
was
had like a machine gun leg or like
yeah,
a 47
yeah.
And,
it was Death. What was it? Death. It
was
Death.
Yeah.
What was it called? Death.
I know what you're talking about. And
her
leg was the machine gun.
Yeah.
It was Death something like Death Ride or
Planet Terror. There, Grindhouse. It was Grindhouse.
Okay.
Right. There you go. Right. Yep.
So I think he's got a. It's almost like Danny Trujillo is going to be it, and someone's going to have a mechanical part for something like a mechanical eye, mechanical leg, something like that.
Yeah, he's like in human splicing. He likes to do stuff like that.
Yeah,
he just loves it.
Death Proof. That sounds more familiar.
Yeah,
I think the Death Proof was the name of the twofer, and then
Death Proof was the second one. Planet Terror was the first one. Okay, that was the one where with the zombies, everybody was turning into like these. Yeah, gotcha. And I loved them both. I sat through them both. I sat through both of them in the theater when they were tied together. Like nowadays, they'll show them as separate films. But yeah, I sat through and watched them both. Loved it. So I don't know. I'm. You know what? I'm still holding out faith. I have faith in this show. I really do. What do you guys think? What is your synopsis for what's to come?
I want to see somebody try and bomb the palace. Like this is I want it to go hardcore now. This is you know what I mean? I mean it's a terrible thing to say, but like I'm just saying, it's like, oh shit, like quick, get to the ship. I mean, I could just in my mind have these scenarios playing out and and the mayor kind of like laughing all the way to the bank, as he's just rolling in dough and like just and but the other thing that's kind of strange too is that it doesn't feel like Boba wants to fight. It doesn't feel like he wants to be aggressive or fight. So this is something else that I've noticed, like where Fennec, she's ready to do something, but he seems to be very like he doesn't want to do that right now, and I have to question that. Because I always imagined that Mandalorians, it's in their blood to fight or want to have that feeling of doing that. But maybe he's just become a pacifist.
Yeah, and I don't want that.
Yeah, it feels like Fennec is the muscle.
Yeah,
and he's the one who's trying to be strategic. But the problem is we don't know what he's strategizing, and also like the few decisions we've seen him make, he seems pretty ignorant to the process.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like I forget what scene it was where it was like, wait, the quote that everyone hated where it was like, oh well, I'm the crime lord, he's supposed to pay me.
Yeah,
it's like, but it's kind of lame if you have to say it, like if it's it could be terribly obvious to all involved that you're supposed to be getting the tribute if you're the one who rules. And I understand like it's almost like any kind of transitional period in power. It's like, it's almost like, I don't say a power vacuum, but I think he anticipated it being too easy. I sit on the throne, it's my throne. And then now he's realizing like, not only does he have enemies trying to kill him, but they could come after other things he cares about.
Yeah.
They could try to hurt the Rancor. Like they could go after Fennec. Like we don't know, but I'm certainly ready to see like an all-out gang war with these Pikes and with these bounty hunters and with Boba. It'd be great if we see some characters that we like and respect already, like Mando or Din Djarin, Bo-Katan. It'd be cool to find out, kind of tie. Gosh knows Disney's really good at tying a bunch of series together. If we haven't got that idea from the MCU and their Disney Plus series. We certainly feel it now. So it'd be great if by the end of all of this, they certainly have a lot to wrap up. We kind of had a tie between Din Djarin and, his season of Mandalorian, maybe with Bo-Katan and her spinoff series, and then maybe even seeing Cad Bane and some kind of, like maybe with Bo-Katan, like the mention of Mandalore. And I'm hoping that Thrawn is on Mandalore and he's been ruling it the whole time and she's got to take it back, and that ties into the Ahsoka series. So we'll see.
who has dirt on Boba Fett? Is there somebody out there who has dirt on him? I'm just trying to think of, like if somebody has something over him, they know they can get to him and play his hand in a way.
Well, one of the only known characters that actually we know that had dirt on him was, well, actually there's a few, because it's not just Jabba, but I think even, well, she's dead. She died. Aurora Singh, she had some dirt on Boba, but she died. Like, who else may have dirt on
Unless
him?
you're everyone's
Cad
right.
Bane. Cad Bane.
Okay.
Cad Bane has dirt on him as well. So we had the Aurora Singh, Cad Bane, and we're going to see him.
Or everyone's right, and the warrior Tuscan that I thought had died, and the child Tuscan are alive.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe
maybe
the Pikes have had them this whole time. In the event that it becomes like a Mexican standoff, and it's like, okay, well, if you really want to do this, that, and the other thing, like, here's these two people that you respect and you owe your life to because of how they helped you. You really want to go ahead and go through with that and kind of like create this ultimatum.
Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And high stakes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Dylan, Aurora Singh did die. It was mentioned that she died in Solo. So yeah, she died. She was pushed off a cliff. So yeah, she died. But I don't know. What we need is, because here's the thing, and I think that we're spoiled. We are. We got to say that we are, because what the final, like the season 2 of The Mandalorian, we had not one, not two, but 3 wow moments in that episode. I mean, in that season, we had the reveal of Ahsoka, we had Boba coming back, we had Luke in the very ending. I mean, so if we look at it, okay, let's go through like the season 2 of Mandalorian. We had the first episode. We had the second episode where he, the first episode was when he, we saw him on the ice planet, right? Was that the first?
No, it was John Leguizamo.
It's John Leguizamo. Yeah, that was the first episode. Was it the second episode was the ice planet, right?
Yes, I think.
Was
no, it wasn't. It was. I have to look. Don't remember all the episodes.
Season 1?
No. Cad Bane. Cad Bane was the first episode. Yes, because he went basically to Tatooine, and that's when we see Cad Bane. That's basically when they fought the Crate Dragon.
Cad Bane.
Cad Bane. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Cad Bane. So that was the first episode when they fought the Crate Dragon, and he got Boba's armor back, and then we actually seen Boba walking through the sand. A silhouette of him. The second episode is when he basically landed on the planet where the spiders were. We got the frog lady and stuff like that. Because that's when we found out that, he had to, transport her. And
yes.
And in the third episode, that's when we basically got a chance to see Bo-Katan.
Yes.
So that's when we saw that was revealed in that one. The episode after that is... That's when he went to get his
ship repaired, and then they wanted him to help with that special bunker, the Imperial bunker that had those. Yeah, and then after that, or did we see, when was Ahsoka's episode?
I thought that was the Ahsoka, because Bo-Katan said you need to find this Jedi named Ahsoka. She's on this planet, and so I thought that was the Ahsoka episode after that.
Yeah, so he found Ahsoka, and then he went back to get his repairs, and that's when they took down that bunker and found out.
No, chapter 5, the Jedi is after the siege.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Because they put a beacon, I guess, at some point. Don't they?
I think
they put a beacon in his ship when he goes back to, after he drops off the frog lady. They put a beacon on his ship.
Right.
And they follow him. He doesn't know he's being followed, but they've been following him. And so after he meets with Ahsoka and she tells him to go to Tython, there's a beacon on the ship already.
But I thought the beacon was basically given to him when he goes back for the siege, because that's when the ship was repaired and the beacon was put
but
on.
The
then
siege
right?
It's the siege after he sees Bo-Katan. Then there's the siege. So he goes back to get his ship fixed. He didn't know that they were going to need his help with this Imperial thing, the Imperial lab.
Got you.
Imperial lab. Yeah. And then that's then after that he goes to see Ahsoka.
And then after Ahsoka is when he goes
to Tython. And Baby Yoda gets abducted, or Grogu gets abducted.
Yeah.
It's incredibly sad that I recently rewatched it.
Me too.
And I don't remember any of it.
Yeah, right. I just did too. I watched it too. So you're right. I think that's the order it came in, because he goes back to Tython, and then he leaves and goes back to find or he actually goes to Cara Dune, because they got to go free what is his name?
Bill Burr's character.
Bill
I don't
Burr's
remember his
character.
character's name.
Can't forget his name. Yeah. So
I love him, by the way.
Yeah.
He's fantastic.
We got to see him back. We have to see him back, which we'll probably see. We would have actually saw him back in the Rangers. I think we saw him back then, but I don't know. We'll see him, whatever. But yeah.
No,
so,
you make a good point. There's a lot of nice things in the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
And it just keeps it going. It just keeps it going, and it flows, and you're just so interested on what's going to happen next.
Mayfield.
And I'm like, Mayfield. There you go. And we're so interested to see what's going to happen next. And then we get to this season of Boba, and it's like,
who should we have seen? Who is on Tatooine now? Like, who should we have seen? Let's say in the timeline that we're expecting, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just curious, in your opinion, who should we see?
Well, I would have been excited to see Cad Bane again. I would have been excited to see him actually help out. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like
that would have been interesting.
Yeah. Like it's, I don't know. There's so many.
Like, I see where my armor went, or, I see you must be the person. I remember this armor, or something like that. And Bob, like, this is my, armor, or whatever, in his stoic way. And he'd be like, I hear you. It's all good, because Cad Bane is so laid back.
I mean,
it's just very interesting.
I mean, it could be a place where we could have seen everybody, even IG. I can't wait to see IG-88. We have to. Come on, I want the bounty hunters that we didn't see really do anything. I want to see them. I really want to see them get busy.
And I have to ask this: we haven't seen, and I know you said it was not called Slave 1, but we haven't seen Slave 1 yet.
Nah.
No.
Nah.
It's weird, right? Like, where is it? I mean, I know it's parked somewhere in the palace, but
probably
Which I know all of the model builders, like Chris over at Rogue One 6, that's all he wants to see. He wants to see the inside of that thing. He wants to know, see all these parts, and so help me if they change the name from Slave 1 in the actual series. Someone did ask, so I did see an article, I didn't click on it, but apparently I think someone tweeted it's official, Bo-Katan getting her own spin-off, congrats, Katie Sackhoff, and the actress who plays Fennec retweeted it and was like, oh my god, Katie, congrats. So I think that's why people are saying that Bo-Katan is getting a spin-off.
Well, I'm
cool.
Definitely happy about that, but first off, she has to get that dark saber back, which is going to be interesting to see how she gets it back.
I actually just got mine. It's sitting right.
Oh wow!
Right there.
Nice. I see it.
Took forever, but yeah, it's beautiful.
I see it. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see in season 3, like how she's going to get it back, because she doesn't want to take it.
But she. It was offered it a number of different times. Like, for someone who doesn't want it, she sure gets a lot of offers.
I know. It was, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was given to her, but then it was taken. And I think that she came up with that creed, or it was basically original creed. I don't know. So I don't know, man. It's just going to be interesting to see.
Well, if we haven't seen Slave 1, I imagine we will see it, and someone's got to be working on it or fixing it or repairing it. And I think the first person that I can think of might be Pele, since she does, kind of ship writing, if you will. Yeah. We already know she knows what she's doing. Maybe she was walking to the palace to fix the machine or whatever it is. But that would be kind of interesting to see, why she would be there. And but I can't believe we won't see that ship in this season. Like, wouldn't it be odd if we didn't?
Well, Disney needs to sell more merchandise. So I think if anything, maybe he gets a wild hair and decides to repaint the Slave One or the Fire Spray, as everyone keeps saying, which I hope that it just doesn't feel right. But
and it's officially renamed now.
Well, and someone I think said that Fire Spray is like the class.
It's the class. It's the class. But even though it's the class, that's basically today they said they're leaning more towards that name. Even though they're saying like it's the Starship, but they're leaning more towards that name. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, listen, we all knew for years that it was it was Slave One, but we never gave it that intent. Like, we never gave it that, you know what I mean? And it's like, yo, come on, man. Like, I'm still going to call it Slave One.
Right.
I mean, hell, when I even had my, Kinder collection back then, on the box it said Slave One.
It did. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So come on. If I didn't place an agenda on it, why should everybody else? We knew it that way. I don't know.
I know it was Django's ship as well, but was Django the first owner of the ship, or was it passed down the same way that the armor was passed down?
Well, originally the ship itself was taken. He took the ship. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's a lot. Just like the Falcon, it has so much history, like rich history when it comes to these vehicles. You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Understand the backtracking on the name though. That's
because they're, again, the agenda is that people basically, it's the washing of it because they don't want it associated with,
But we've seen droids as slaves. We've seen Wookiees as slaves.
Yes.
Like I understand the problematic nature of Leia and Return of the Jedi. Yeah. But it's worse to try to sweep something under the rug that you've already established exists in this universe.
Yeah.
Especially like the slavery we've seen, like the indentured servitude, it's always by the Imperials. It's always by the bad guys. So
exactly.
I think it could still exist in that universe and still be wrong and still say it's wrong. But I like the idea that it was the Slave One and that the Django was kind of the independent one, and then it was his clones that were kind of like indentured servants to the Empire. Yeah. So, yeah, we'll still call it Slave One. No matter
definitely. It'll get too confusing. I won't know what you're talking about or anybody's talking about if you change the name now.
You're right, Luminar. Well, we can't have Jedi Master then if that's the case. You're true. You know what I mean? Like, because Master, like, you know what I mean? You going to take that away? Like, next? Mm-hmm. Come on, man. Like, literally, the name fits.
Padawan is too offensive.
Yeah, like, come on.
They're going to change the Millennium Falcon to the Generation Z Falcon.
Right? Right? It just might. Oh, man. I don't know. Like, I'm just,
If that's offensive, you know what's offensive? Copying the storyline to Dances with Wolves for like the first 3 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, right.
Where like this guy comes into this native tribe and like teaches them technology and how to protect themselves, and then they all get killed off, and it's like, what? Whoops.
Yeah, right.
Or like someone said Avatar. When I saw Avatar the first time, the James Cameron, it was straight up Dances with Wolves with blue aliens.
Yep, exactly. It was. That's what I'm saying. Like they're taking the page from that book. I don't know. I'm still gonna call him. I'm still calling it Slave One. What are your last thoughts about this episode?
Is Fennec going to stick around if Boba is so timid? If he continues to be so timid, or is she going to just kind of like not be interested in this anymore? I know she owes him a favor and all that, but is this what she signed up for?
Interesting, because I think she's. He did save her life. You know what I mean? And it's a debt that's owed. I think that she literally wants to see his success, but I think she wants to basically see him assert himself more. And that's what she's trying to tell him. Like, what I'm telling you are ways. This is basically the way things work. You have to assert your power. You can rule with respect, but in order to get the respect, you have to assert your position. You know what I mean? Like, you have to. And then give back to the little people, you know what I mean? The people that are less fortunate. But it's just like, even they're not giving him respect. You know what I mean? So come on, man. Like, what are we watching here? Like, what is going on?
And let's say Bo-Katan does come back in the picture. Do you think Boba Fett will challenge her like to a fight? And do you think he'll defeat her? I mean, like, do you think it's going to be like a mutual, I'll do this for you, you do this for me? Because it seemed very confrontational. They didn't seem like they wanted to cooperate. And I don't know whether just because Din was there and he was like, well, come on, we all have to be adults now, and we got to get the child back. Let's get things back in line. And I got you the ship, so just tone it down. But now things are very different because he has a lot of assets there. And, Bo-Katan might be like, well, I could really use some of those assets. And he might say, well, I don't really want you to play that role here. I mean, she could come in and shake things up. She might have more assets than he has.
True. Very true. Like I don't know. I think she's going to mainly stick around, just to kind of watch and make sure things are, ran smoothly the way they're supposed to. I believe that's, her position in his life. And I think she genuinely cares about him. She cares. She wants to see him succeed, because she actually has a lot at stake as well. She's aligned herself with this individual. You know what I mean? If he's taken as a joke, that means then she looks like a joke as well. So it's like, no, we need to amp this up. We need to do, whatever, to make sure, that we should. And again, I need to see an episode where she gets busy. I really need to see that episode.
But, Boba couldn't wait to get the hell out of the airspace after he dropped them off or kind of helped Din, in season 2. Like, he couldn't wait to get out of there, and it seemed very clear that he needed to retreat because maybe he just didn't want to have to be confronted with the craziness of what was going on, because it's a real power struggle that's kind of building there. So
definitely. And on top of that, like I said, with him, and I think that's what they're doing. In that episode, we know that they were pushing that, it was following the narrative at that point because they didn't want him to run into Luke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, again, it there's a lot, going into that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We got a $2 super chat by $2 super chat by Tom Jr. Jackson. Great show and great conversation. Thank you so much. We do appreciate that. CC, what do you think? What are your last thoughts about this episode?
I hope it gets better. I hope maybe we do see that that other warrior Tuscan and the Tuscan child.
Yeah.
I do hope we see kind of the all-out war between Boba Fett and the Pikes.
Yeah.
I'm still hopeful, but I think it was a little disappointing when we kind of thought about Crimson Dawn. That's a good point. I haven't read that comic series yet, but when we looked at how many episodes into the second season of Mando we're in, where it was, I think, episode 3. Of course, we know my memory of that is shaky, obviously, by this point, but I think it was episode 3 when there was a Frog Lady episode.
Yes.
I think after that, things kind of kicked off. And that was episode 3. Here we are, episode 3. Maybe it's very formulaic and they kind of want things to be a little slower in the beginning before things really kind of get crazy, like we're maybe expecting in episode 6. So
yeah, true.
I'm just keeping my fingers firmly crossed.
Yeah. I'm definitely with you. Final words. What do you think about it?
Well, you both make such a good point because in that season 2, there was a lot of Boba, implied Boba. We saw the armor, the Mandalorian, Din was carrying it with him. So it was like it was in his possession and it was important, and you knew it was important because he wasn't just going to come across a whole thing of Mandalorian armor out of nowhere, right? There had to be a reason. We had the hint that Boba was going to be in this season, or we would see him in the previous, season. So, there was a lot of anticipation for that. We haven't gotten those little sneak peeks of something yet of anybody in this one. It's been a little quiet. It's been a little, very kind of like, I wonder what's going to happen. Things seemed a little too quiet in a town that's, or in a place where, it's post-Empire and things should be kind of, a little bit more free. I mean, even the, the place that Cobb Van, not the first episode 1 of season 2.
Yeah.
It was kind of like the Wild West when the Empire fell.
Yeah.
And it's like, I wonder what Tatooine was like. Well, of course, Jabba was still not Jabba, but I can't remember the guy who he just killed was in power, I guess, at that time, right?
Are you talking about Bib Fortuna?
Yeah. But even he couldn't keep things under control because they said, well, things haven't really been the same since Jabba's been gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not a surprise. But why? And I think maybe both of you or someone had mentioned, why now are the twins coming to claim this? Why now? They could have killed Bib Fortuna.
Or maybe Bib Fortuna was working for them. Or, maybe he was basically keeping things in check until they were ready to come claim what they believed was theirs by right. So I don't know. I mean, it could have been, and then, Boba coming through disrupts that whole program because he's changing the system. Because remember, there were still tributes to be paid, even before. So now that Boba's there and they have zero respect for him, it's like,
And maybe the money is not as much because now he's already gone and changed the rates that people can pay for water. So there isn't as much money being made there. And the mayor's kind of gone and run off somewhere to the Pikes. And he's like, I'm not going to stick around while that guy's, telling everybody what to do.
Yeah.
And so maybe there's kind of a disruption in things. He's already, or at least they implied that he already kind of disrupted, how some of the spice was being transported on Tatooine at some point.
Definitely.
He's making a lot of people upset. And, while it's true that he may not have a lot of respect, perhaps he is making more enemies.
True. Definitely. Man, I don't know. Here's to hoping that this next episode goes off because we needed to. We definitely needed to. It has to happen.
The palace.
Yeah, you know what?
Charlie the Unicorn wants death sticks. I don't disagree with that.
What do you say?
Death sticks.
Death sticks, right? Yeah. Give me some of those, man. Let's see them back. As a matter of fact, let's see the same character back on Tatooine. And Mos Espa. Come on, man. That would
maybe incredible. That Joe Dirt looking character, the mayor's receptionist dude.
Yeah.
Maybe that's like his brother.
Right?
His brother, yeah.
Let's sell some death sticks on Tatooine. Come on, man. We need that back. Oh, man, it was an amazing episode. I mean, tonight's episode, I'm not talking about, Book of Boba, unfortunately. But tonight's episode was great. You guys were great. You held it down.
You.
I always wanted to do a show like this anyway where the ladies just take over. Like, I love that. Like, literally, I love that. Like, y'all just take over, just lay it down. Come on, man. The ladies first. Women, they rule the world. You know that? Come on, man. But no, I'm so excited to have you back and have you guys here. It's the regulars anyway. We're always back and doing this. Every week, holding it down for Mario. Mario, I hope your mom gets better, man. It's like me last week, yours this week, man. What's going on? It's like, come on, man. Like, let's go. Let's heal. It's time for healing. Like, we need everybody back. Vinny, happy anniversary to you and your missus, man. I know you out there doing your thing. I hope you spoiling her, bro. You need to, man. So it is what it is. Cece, what you got coming up next?
Well, I think so. We have just over at Rogue 16, we have group therapy tomorrow where we just talk about the expensive Star Wars stuff we've bought or what's been releasing, and of course, I'm assuming we're going to talk about the episode again.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of things in the works as far as trying to get some shows. Everyone keeps sparking at me to get a print show together because obviously I'm a big print fan. So that's something I'm working on. But in the meantime, my sleep schedule's all screwed up because we're still going to do the Shelter in Space where we watch the episode live when it releases. So I've been, staying up till 1 a.m. to watch the Book of Boba so I could hang out with my guys and talk about how the episode was afterwards. But it's been a lot of fun. So if you want to join us for that, we'll certainly be doing it next Tuesday. Definitely.
I would love to. Can't wait. Cannot wait. Come on, man. Support always. What you got coming up? What's going on with you?
Well, on Friday nights, Friday during the daytime at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm usually on Midnight's Edge at 12 o'clock Eastern. At 3 a.m. Eastern on Friday night into Saturday, Lael, you and I are going to be on Midnight Metal.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
on Monday nights, I will be streaming with Lorena Creole for Toxic Femininity. And that is pretty much everything, except for when I'm back on this fine show on Thursday night.
Yes. And can I say, like, I mean, having you both there is just like, I love it. I literally do, because it's just, and I love it because I get the chance to both not only talk to you guys, but I get a chance to look at that poster that Cece has back there that she knows that I love. That thing is just phenomenal. Every time, like when we're talking, it's like I'm trying to look at you, but I'm looking past you at that poster. Because I'm like,
Yes, I should just be like,
you're right there. Yo, it's just phenomenal.
You
I
have
love
some
that piece.
fantastic art. It'd be great to talk about what art you have. I know you had that Mondo print that was amazing.
Oh,
the screen
yeah.
print from last year. That was fantastic. So
Definitely, we need to talk about that, man.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be great to have like an episode where we just do some show and tell, like our Star Wars show and tell and stuff like that we got going on. I'd love to do that. Hell yeah, all day, every day. But thank you guys for being here. Let me address the chat real quick. We got Tobar in the building. Thank you for being here. Tom Jr. Jackson, Charlie the Unicorn, Luminar, Latoya T, baby, thank you for being here. Charlie, let me see, Thomas Jackson Jr. Let's see who else we got. Pedro Lopez, Luminar, happy birthday again. Yes. I'm hoping you're going to celebrate the day. I hope you got some cake, and if you do, send some to me. Joe Mama 007, thank you for basically being here. Zodiac Collector, Blitz 0065, we got Doug Collector in the building. Thank you for coming through. Who else we got here? Joey Dawes in the building. We did basic. Bob Dylan is in the building. Thank you for coming through. Dylan Compton, thank you for coming through. Let's see who is Jason Kugler. Thank you for coming through. Negan X Army, thank you for being here. The Ben Cave, as always. My man Max Geekdom, my guy. He always lets me know what's coming up. He'll send me a nice little message, so it's good. Always good to talk to him. Chess Verdon, thank you for being here. Let's see here. What else we got? A single songwriter, my guy, man. My guy with the master plan. Love it. I love it when he's here. Thank you for being here. Let's see what else was here. We had Brendan Riley was in here earlier. Butt Naked himself was in here. Pablo Meza was in here. Ray C, H Green 1313. Let me see here. Who else we got? Man, we had quite a few that actually packed through here. It's so good to see y'all come through and show some support, man. Anyway, look, if you haven't already followed these, you got to follow these amazing women and their content that they have. I mean, they're always bringing it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the 16 Scale Man YouTube channel. What we have here at Uncivilized Scoundrels on Sunday, we're going to actually have Take Your Position. On Monday, it's Comic Book Talk with Friends. On Wednesday, we actually have Say What. And then we're back here again next Thursday. Hopefully, we got something to talk about. Like, literally, like, we got, you know what? If the episode is good, we're going to go back on these 3 episodes and we're going to talk about the build up and just be like, we might even have some drinks that night. Like, literally, like literally have some, just a breath of fresh air. Like,
oh my God.
Come on, we can exhale. Yes, man. I hope we could do that. The Cabo 56, thank you for being here, as always. But yes, again, we love Spice Runner. Thank you for coming through as well. To you guys, it's been a pleasure. I love this show. I love what it represents. We could talk Star Wars every day, all day, as long as we can. So I'm so glad to be here. But anyway, guys, may the force be with all of you. Live life uncivilized like we always do. Mario, again, shout out to you. Can't wait to see you next week. YouTube, Vinny. But we held it down for y'all. We held it down. As a matter of fact, no, the ladies held it down for y'all. So shout out to the ladies. Again, thank you for being here. And until next week, we love y'all and we will see y'all again. Peace.
So uncivilized.